Hey folks, Cornell here with Midlife Crits, bringing you another build video for the Death Knight. We are going to be focusing on the talents specifically for the Blood Death Knight. Yes, I do have a piece of armor that is broken currently, but we will fix that. Granted, it's probably due to the specialization. So yes, let's hop on in, see what we've got as far as our skills here at the start of the beta, and I'll continually make update videos like this to document the different changes made to the Death Knight as the uh, beta progresses, and they do make changes. So let's start with level 56. We have three choices of Heartbreaker, Blood Drinker, and Rune Strike. Heartbreaker is a passive ability. Uh, Heartstrike will now generate 2 additional runic power per target hit. Blood Drinker is a channeled spell that costs one rune with a 30-yard range and 30-second cooldown. Drains 4,381 health from the target over 2.4 seconds. You can move, parry, dodge, and use defensive abilities while channeling this ability. And lastly, on this first tier, we have Rune Strike, which is an instant cast. Requires a melee weapon. Strike the target for 1,486 physical damage. Cooldown reduced by 1 second for every rune you spend. I will, for the sake of this, be choosing Heartbreaker. Level 57, you have Rapid Decomposition, Hemostasis, and Consumption. Rapid Decomposition, your Blood Plague and Death and Decay deal damage 15% more often, so faster ticks on your dots. Hemostasis is a passive. Each enemy hit by a blood boil increases the damage and healing done by your next death strike by 10%, stacking up to 5 times. So essentially, up to a 50% damage and healing increase. Interesting. And I'll go back. Rapid Decomposition is also a passive. Consumption is a instant cast, requires a melee weapon, strikes all enemies in front of you with a hungering attack that deals 991 physical damage and heals you for 100% of that damage. That's kind of cool. Though I think for my purposes, I will take Hemostasis. Level 58, you have Will of the Necropolis, Anti-Magic Barrier, and Rune Tap. Will of the Necropolis is a passive skill that damage taken below 35% health is reduced by 35%. Anti-Magic Barrier is also a passive, reduces the cooldown of Anti-Magic Shell by 15 seconds, and increases the duration and amount absorbed by 30%. That's helpful. And lastly, Rune Tap reduces all damage taken by 30% for 4 seconds. This is an instant cast, costs 1 rune, max charges of 2. I think for our purposes, Anti-Magic Barrier. Level 60, you have Tightening Grasp, Grip of the Dead, and March of the Damned. Tightening Grasp is a passive, reduces the cooldown of Gorfing's Grasp by 30 seconds. It's pretty good. Grip of the Dead, Death and Decay reduces the movement speed of enemies within its area by 90%, decaying by 10% every second. Interesting. March of the Damned, passive, Wraith Walk lasts 100% longer and breaks stun, snare, and root effects when cast. I think for adventuring and leveling, I will take the Tightening Grasp. Level 75, Foul Bulwark, Ossuary, and Tombstone. Foul Bulwark. Each charge of Bone Shield increases your maximum health by 1%. It's a passive. Ossuary is a passive. Your Bone Shield stores up an additional 5 charges. Your maximum runic power is increased by 25. That sounds interesting. Tombstone, an instant cast. Consume up to 5 Bone Shield charges. For each charge consumed, you gain 6 runic power and absorb damage equal to 6% of your maximum health for 8 seconds. I believe I'm going to take the Ossuary. Level 90, you have Voracious, Bloodworms, and Mark of Blood. Voracious is a passive. Death Strike grants you 15% leech for 6 seconds. Bloodworms is a passive. Your auto attacks have a chance to summon Bloodworm. Bloodworms deal minor damage to your target for 15 seconds and then burst, healing you for 15% of your missing health. If you drop below 50% health, your Bloodworms will immediately burst and heal you. And Mark of Blood. Place a Mark of Blood on an enemy for 25 seconds. That enemy's damaging auto attacks will also heal their victim for 2% of the victim's maximum health. This is an instant, costs 30 runic power. I will take Bloodworms. That is a callback to what I used to have with Cataclysm, actually. And at level 100, you have Purgatory, Red Thirst, and Bone Storm. Sorry, I had to. Purgatory is a passive and an Unholy Pact that prevents fatal damage instead of absorbing incoming healing equal to the damage prevented, lasting 3 seconds. If any healing absorption remains when this effect expires, you will die. This effect may only occur every 4 minutes. Yeah, I don't like that. Red Thirst. It's a passive, reduces the cooldown on Vampiric Blood by 1 second and a second per 10 runic power spent. Interesting. And Bone Storm. 10 to 100 runic power, instant 1 minute cooldown. A whirl of bone and gore batters nearby enemies, dealing 377 shadow damage every 1 second and healing you for 3% of your maximum health every time it deals damage. Ooh. Lasts 1 second per 10 runic power spent. So up to 10 seconds maximum. Interesting. I will take that. So, folks, that covers the blood spec and the talents available at the beginning of the Battle for Azeroth beta. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Check out the rest of the videos we're going to be producing here soon. Tali got her invite to the beta. Congratulations to her. She will be coming on and doing some druid coverage for us. So look forward to that. Next video in this series, we'll be talking about the Unholy spec. So stay tuned for that, folks. This is Cornell from Midlife Crits, and we will see you on the couch.